It will not be controversial for me to assert that public understanding of the risks of alcohol drinking during pregnancy has increased over time. I mean, anecdotally, my mom made no bones about drinking a bit while she was pregnant with me or my sisters. Of course, back then, her obstetrician advised her not to gain any weight during pregnancy. The 70s, man. Weird medicine. Nowadays, neither behavior would fly with the medical establishment, and the public is aware of this. A 2026 Annenberg survey found that 90% of women correctly answered that the statement, drinking wine or beer during pregnancy is safe, was false. That was up from 82% in 2025. The word is out. In fact, the no alcohol during pregnancy recommendation is pretty old. In 1981, the Surgeon General issued a formal advisory to that effect, but that's not the oldest reference to avoiding alcohol in pregnancy we can find. In fact, in the Book of Judges, an angel advises Samson's mother to, quote, drink no wine or other fermented drink and do not eat anything unclean while pregnant. God was also worried about fetal alcohol syndrome, it seems. Given the above, a broad population understanding of the dangers of alcohol in pregnancy increasing over time, relatively consistent messaging from healthcare providers, at least over the last 10 to 15 years or so, I would have assumed that drinking during pregnancy has decreased in the US. Well, according to the latest research, the opposite is true. Appearing in JAMA this week, a research letter updating the rates of drinking, binge drinking, and heavy drinking among pregnant women in the United States. The data comes from the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, a CDC-funded telephone-based survey of adults across the U.S. This particular analysis focuses on women of childbearing age, 18 to 49 years. It's worth noting that all the information here comes from the answers people gave on the telephone. That includes the affirmative answer to the "Are you pregnant?" question and all the information about alcohol intake. That latter is subject to the well-described social desirability bias. There is a tendency to underreport certain vices in surveys in an effort to conform to what one assumes is the respectable standard. This might depress self-reported estimates of alcohol intake, particularly for pregnant women who, as I mentioned above, are all too aware that they're not really supposed to be drinking. Okay, some definitions here. Current alcohol use was defined as having greater than or equal to 1 drink in the past month. Heavy drinking was 8 drinks or more per week, and binge drinking was having 4 or more drinks on a given occasion. Here's the data for non-pregnant women over time. You can see fairly stable rates of alcohol intake with maybe a hint of a decline in the past couple of years. I should note that other data sources like the Gallup Consumption Habits Survey show a more dramatic decline in alcohol intake post-pandemic. But regardless, we're not here to talk about society. We're here to talk about pregnant women. So here's that data. There's been a clear upward trend in current alcohol use over much of the past 15 years among pregnant women, from 9.1% in 2011 to 15.2% at the height of the pandemic. Those rates have not recovered. Binge drinking rose too, before declining a bit, though rates still remain above historic levels, and heavy drinking has ticked up as well. Statistical modeling confirms a significant increase year on year across all 3 metrics. The phenotype of those who drank during pregnancy was a bit unusual as well. Overall, they were older, more likely to be college graduates, less likely to be married or partnered, and more likely to be employed. They were dramatically more likely to be smokers. 26% of pregnant tobacco users also drank, compared to 11.3% of non-smokers. It's even worse for binge drinking. 68.1% of binge drinkers used tobacco versus 31.3% of non-users. Now, as you might expect, frequent mental distress was a significant risk factor, with 23% of those reporting significant mental distress drinking during pregnancy, compared to 11% without mental distress. Now, I'll admit I have a bit of trouble parsing this data. The big picture perspective is that among the general population, alcohol use is declining in this country, and women know more than ever to avoid alcohol during pregnancy. Nevertheless, we see an uptick in drinking during pregnancy. It's counterintuitive, unless perhaps some of the risk factors for drinking, like mental distress, are rising in pregnant women over time. That seems at least plausible to me, as growing economic concerns and pandemic disruptions limited options for maternal and childcare. Of course, I mentioned the issue of social desirability bias here. You could theoretically see results like this if, for some reason, people just started getting more honest with telephone interviewers over time. In that situation, the observed rise would actually just be a closer approximation to the truth than we had in the past, but there's no way to really know for sure. And I don't have a particular reason why social desirability bias would be decreasing unless we're just all becoming more antisocial. So what do we do? My mother drank a little while she was pregnant with me because in the 70s, nobody had told her not to. That problem we fixed. 90% of women now know that you're not supposed to drink while pregnant. And the rates went up anyway. A pregnant woman today doesn't need a pamphlet or a warning label on a bottle. She needs someone in the exam room to ask about drinking and offer some solutions. That tool exists. It's called the ASBI, the Alcohol Screening and Brief Intervention. It takes about 5 minutes at a routine visit, roughly doubles the odds of reported abstinence, and it's almost never used. Seems like a reasonable place to start if we want to make a dent in a very surprising trend. For Medscape, I'm Perry Wilson.